All right, so I think the stream thinking about things ready to go though. So hello everybody, Making ZardX here, back at it again to give you another very exciting podcast episode. That'd be my ZardCast podcast episode 37. Now, whole freaking sheet. I know I might go a little bit more into detail on this a little later on in the show, but oh my gosh, last night though, with all that Marvel news they went through and talked about and discussed with the new show announcements, new trailer drops and all of this stuff, confirmed dates for the new Avengers movies. I was like, oh my gosh, so much information that I knew I probably wasn't going to be able to drop all of it up in the podcast though. But I'll talk about it a little bit more once we hit our little Marvel segment though. And then quite a bit of gaming news. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do the podcast last week. It got pushed to this week. Now, instead of covering the traditional 2 weeks worth of news, now I got 3 weeks. So I have to go through their cut, add, and change my little list of stuff, though. Most of it's still the same stuff I would have talked about last week, but I got a little extra stuff to talk about as well, though. So quite a bit of stuff to go through tonight, though. So let's just go ahead and jump up in it, though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into that pop culture segment. All right, so first up, we had some news on some Avatar. No, I'm not talking about the Disney kind of Avatar. I'm talking about Nickelodeon Avatar, like with Aang, Katara, Toph, Sokka, Zuko, that whole team Avatar right there, though. Because they did confirm that, yes, we are going to get a movie dedicated towards, some Avatar, basically some I wouldn't consider it spinoff, but basically future Avatar content in terms of like movies that are dedicated towards certain characters or certain groups of people though. And it is confirmed that they actually moved up the Avatar movie from we knew there was going to be one that was going to focus on Aang, but now they moved that sucker up to 2024. And I was looking at it, I was like, well, dang. I was like, I didn't think that they were actually gonna move it up like that because for the longest time, I think in that slot when we would have got something, it should have been Avatar Kyoshi, but then they changed it up to where Aang is going to be up in there. And once this movie does come out, they're going to have like a movie releasing every year from, Team Avatar or whatever Avatar Studios, I think is what they're called or whatnot though. So but yeah, so I got the stuff right up because it broke out during San Diego Comic-Con. A lot of news has dropped that up on that though. But it should be coming out in theaters in the year of 2024. So replacing the Kyoshi, it's Aang and stuff like that. And it should be roughly around the time period when they're like young adults. We're probably thinking like maybe upper 20s or something like that. I got like an art illustration. If you're watching this on YouTube, I have an art illustration thing right up here in front of me. I imagine this is probably what they're going to look like. Well, whenever that movie actually does drop, though. Now, I don't know if I'll actually go to the theaters and see this, or I might. I don't know. This kind of depends on whatever's kind of coming out around that time, though. So, sheesh, though. But golly, I am really looking forward to that, though. But if you're an Avatar fan like me, y'all got to let me know because, shoot, man, I've been starving for some new Avatar content past like the Legend of Korra stuff that we had. Which, mind you, I remember that show. It started off on Nickelodeon, and then for some oddball reason, with time show slots or whatever, moved strictly to online. I remember having to connect my computer up to my TV and then run an HDMI cord up in there or was it? It might have been an HDMI cord. It might have been a VGA cord or something like that, though. But yeah, so I remember doing that though. So anyway, though, we'll go ahead and switch over to the next topic because it does seem like Dragon Ball Super may be coming back. Not just a movie that we know that's going to be coming out. It's almost right around the corner, to be honest, though. But I'm not just talking about that because there was somebody, and he's pretty into the Dragon Ball knowledge and whatnot, though, within the Dragon Ball community and whatnot, though. And they're saying that Dragon Ball Super has a chance to basically return. And it'll be the post-universe survival arc as early as 2023. And I'm like, ooh. I was like, I'm really looking forward to that because I was like, I knew they were going to come back with Super. It's just after a certain point because when you have a long running anime, you can't just keep it running like Black Clover and all of those. So they have to take their breaks, figure out what they want to do with the story and whatnot, though. So could be coming out as early as next year. I really would like that. Now, also, there's also, or from the same person, they're saying that there could be a new Dragon Ball movie after Superhero, and it's currently in pre-production. And they're trying to release movies every 2 to 3 years, which I think for most part, even when we were in that longest gap between Dragon Ball Z, or technically Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball GT to Super, it was a long gap, but I still felt like we were getting movies kind of fairly on and off before they finally kind of resumed the anime or whatnot, though. So I feel like they're gonna try to be pretty consistent with these movies and stuff like that, though. But yeah, but that's basically says, or that's all he basically says right now in terms of the movie front and the anime front, though. So it seems like, we're in for some fairly good stuff, though. Are some reports, because I think Dragon Ball Super or Superhero, I think it's already released in Japan, and I heard some mixed thoughts on it from most people, though. I don't know if it's so much the CGI or more so the storytelling or whatever. But the second I'm able to watch it, I'll probably get my thoughts out here on one of my podcast episodes, though. But that's basically all I have to do, or all I have to say in terms of that quick little update. Now we'll switch over to the very last pop culture segment news because Sony Entertainment plans to remove purchase items that you basically bought on your PlayStation and removing them from the store or removing them from the video libraries of some PlayStation users. Now, this right here is kind of weird and it kind of goes into the thought of, well, it was one topic I actually kind of removed, but I can kind of mention this a little bit. It was dealing with like Assassin's Creed, how I think at one point they said that they were going to remove that from Steam for some oddball reasons, and even if you actually bought the game, you weren't going to own it or whatever, though, it just kind of brings up red flags with the all digital future. Because while it is super convenient, you don't got to run to your room, dust off that DVD case or whatever, pop open that DVD case, video game case, whatever, pop it up into your system and play it. You just have the comfort of just sitting down right on your system or whatever device it is on, and then just playing or watching your digital media. It is really convenient on that fact, but the fact that you can have companies like this do the licenses, whatever, that they just feel like it, or just that the moves just strikes them just right, they could just take anything from you in an all digital age, which that to me doesn't really sit that well for me. And I just don't like that. I just don't like the thought of that. I mean, yes, I like digital as an option, but I don't want it to be just purely digital future because, well, I guess digital in a way might be a little bit better than like streamable, only stream. Like, imagine only having games only being streamed to you. I mean, because not everybody's internet's up to stuff, depending on where you're at in the world or whatever, though. But I don't know. It's just something to kind of think about. So I'm like, got to be careful with, I guess, what content we're going to get. Because I mean, shoot, I would say right now we're in 2022. I imagine by the time we hit 2050, I think most things are probably all going to be digital, whether or not we like it or not. I feel like younger generations are going to be more accepting than us older people. If you're born in like the around the 90s ish, like me, you're kind of like the physical content, and then obviously older than that. But I feel like people born post 2010 ish, 2010 decade, they might be a little more accepting of this. I don't know. Times are changing. Times are changing. I guess that's all I can say up on that, though. But that's pretty much it in terms of the general pop culture segment news. Now let's go ahead and switch over to this Marvel stuff because oh freaking shoot! Now I can talk about it a little bit more. Before I talk about Miss Marvel that's here on the screen, San Diego Comic Con that happened within like this past few days or whatnot, though. And whole freaking shoot, they dropped the mother load. Like they announced so many different shows. I was just scrolling. I was just chilling last night. I was eating my food, whatnot, making my dinner and stuff, chilling, watching some of the bit of the Splatoon 2 tournament stuff that happened the other day ago. And lo and behold, when they announced the Avengers movies, and then they said they dropped the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever trailer up and that stuff, along with the Iron Groot stuff and all of that stuff, I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm just going to have to sit down and watch all of this or stream all of this stuff and just give my thoughts on all the trailers, all my reactions, all the announcements, everything else in between. And I was like, oh my goodness, it was quite a bit. But if you want to hear all my big Marvel thoughts over San Diego Comic Con, everything they had to announce, there is a video on my channel. I streamed that yesterday, so you can definitely check that out or whatever, though. But yeah, so all my thoughts are up on that. kind of interesting how we're going into phase 5 starting as soon as next year with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Mania. Like phase 4, the last one of that is technically going to be Black Panther Wakanda Forever though. And then after that, then we're fully into phase 5 though. So honestly, some really cool, some really good stuff like that though. And that's all I got to say on it right there. You can always check out that other video for all my full thoughts on it though. But the only thing I didn't talk about in that stream last night was Miss Marvel and Thor Love and Thunder. I did watch both of those, one being a series, one being a full blown movie. I did watch both of them, so I did want to kind of give my thoughts on these two, though. So, starting off with Miss Marvel, you know, the traditional 6 episodes that we normally get on Disney Plus. Honestly, I thought this show was pretty good. It really had a really nice, diverse culture and stuff. I know it sort of kind of rubbed some people the wrong way in terms of how Kamala had her powers because we know that she's an inhuman and whatnot though. And normally she kind of almost acted like a weird combination like Elastigirl and the Hulk. If you were kind of merge like two different superpowers or whatever though, because she just like mainly like she's always known for like enlarging her fist or whatever though. But it did a little different in this show. Like they kind of used like a type of like a mysterious power where it's like it looked like a bunch of polygons in a way. I guess the best way how to describe it or whatever though. But anyway, she used her powers. It mostly came from her bangle, and her bangle kind of tapped into her potential to actually unlock powers. Meanwhile, if you think back in the comics itself, it was actually Black Bolt, one of the Inhumans. He sent out like a kind of like a wave or something over Earth, and that kind of unlocked different peoples who had the potential to have some kind of powers in them. Basically, it was like the key to the lock and unlocked it. So that's kind of how Kamala had her powers in the comics. This one's a little different, dealing with a bangle and whatnot, though. But honestly, I really did like her character and stuff. Kind of felt very close to Peter Parker in the sense, like, wow, she was kind of really relatable. Like, we knew that she wasn't super powerful. She was from the Bronx and all of this stuff, though. Kind of like how shoot, Miles Morales kind of was, though. No, but anyway, though, he was very grounded. Had a lot of, comedic moments and stuff like that as well. And just like the way it was purely handled. I mean, the rich, diverse culture and stuff. I just really like how they're expanding upon the MCU stuff. And we know that she's kind of crazy over, superheroes and stuff like that. Had some really strong, relatable moments with her. Because like she was trying to attend like a Comic-Con or whatever, though. I mean, she always really looked up to Captain Marvel, hence the inspiration of her name, Miss Marvel, though. But it was kind of interesting how at the very tail end of it, the origin of her superhero name actually came from her father out of all places though. So it was kind of nice to kind of see that though. But overall, very unique. It wasn't like super jam-packed, super actiony or anything like that though. But it was just kind of nice, grounded, just kind of typical stuff. A girl coming of age, accepting turns, trying to deal with this new responsibility with her powers. It is kind of interesting how accepting once she actually revealed her powers to her parents and her family and stuff, how accepting they were of it. And meanwhile, like you look at somebody like Peter Parker, who had to keep that mess hidden for like such the longest time until you actually kind of revealed that to his aunt or whatever, though, depending on, what Spider-Man thing you're talking about, whether it's comics, movies, or whatever, though. But it's kind of interesting how different she is compared to other superheroes. And I think technically this makes her, I want to say, our youngest what will soon to be Avenger or whatever, basically superhero. I think she's going to be our youngest superhero up until this point, though. I mean, I'm trying to think who was. I think there was one younger before her, but well, technically Peter Parker. But now I think she's technically younger than him. So that is kind of really interesting. Yeah, because Peter Parker's about to go to college when in the next movie, though. She's still in high school right now, though. So yeah, so overall, some really cool stuff like that. Would really recommend if you have Disney Plus or whatever, though, because they're doing some good, very interesting, unique stuff with the Disney Plus shows and stuff like that. I just like the diversity of everything they've been kind of showcasing off though. But I think that's mostly it in terms of like my impressions and thoughts of what I thought about Miss Marvel without hugely going over into like the spoilerly kind of side of things though. But we'll go ahead and switch over to the next one and we'll go ahead and talk about Thor, Love, and Thunder. because my goodness, Thor movies are always something. Like it's weird because like a lot of people sort of kind of feel mixed on like modern Marvel that's like post Endgame and whatnot though. But people can always sort of kind of rally behind a Thor movie for and some people didn't like Thor Ragnarok. I actually really enjoyed it in comparison to like Thor the Dark World, which was like the second movie in the series or whatever though. But I really did like the spin between we had Thor and then we had what is considered technically in the comics, there is a female Thor, aka Jane, Thor's previous girlfriend or whatever. She always keeps managing to pop up left and right, and all this kind of stuff, though. But it was nice to kind of be able to see them, pop back and forth, though. Somehow, Thor's old hammer managed to actually come back from the grave. She managed to bring that back. So it was kind of nice to see the unique spin on that, though. Valkyrie was always very comedic as well as our lovable Rockhead over there, though. And honestly, I had a strange sneaking suspicion that I really thought Thor was gonna die because the main antagonist of this movie was a god killer. And when I saw that in the original previews and stuff like that, I thought, golly, I thought this was gonna be, Thor's exiting outdoor, like the retired Iron Man, they retired Captain America and stuff like that, though. They killed and then they retired off Black Widow and stuff like that. Well, two of them retired, but technically dead. You know what I mean, though. But I thought this is Thor's way to go out, introduce Jane into the series as the main hero, though. But I was technically wrong, but I won't go into details on that. That kind of goes into the spoilery realm, though. But I'll let you watch the movie, though. But I will say this: I felt like this had the most comedy out of everything. I dare say Thor: Love and Thunder rivals the Guardians of the Galaxy movies because that was a crap ton of comedy up in these in this movie right here though. It was so much. I was like, dang. I was watching this movie with my cousin. I was like, dang. I was like, this gave Guardians of the Galaxy a run for his money. He was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm kind of curious how Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will actually play out because I'm curious to see if they can manage to top it or kind of, maintain it and whatnot, though. So, yeah, so honestly, some really good stuff from this movie, though. If I were to rank all of the Thor movies, at the very bottom, maybe Thor Dark World. It's not necessarily a bad movie if I were just kind of go through and rank them. Step up, I would say original Thor. Step up, Thor Ragnarok. Then I would say Thor Love and Thunder at the very top. I think that's might be the way I put him. I mean, depending on the day, I could probably swap Ragnarok and Love and Thunder though, but I think both of them are good for their own respective rights with what they kind of do up in this one though. So honestly, some really good stuff, and I'm glad we had another good one because shoot, I think out of all the movies we gotten so far within Phase 4 is almost about to come to the end. We only have Black Panther, Wakanda Forever being the last one. That might be a discussion for another day, though. But if I were to say what one was the worst movie that we got one in Phase 4, I definitely would probably have to say Eternals. I think that was like bottom of the barrel. But then everything else, like we had some fresh looks with with Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings. That was probably the freshest movie that we had out of all of them. I might sit down and rewatch that one day though. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much all my thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder. If you had seen this movie, y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below though, because man, this movie was great. I loved every single aspect about it though. Man, those ending cutscenes. No, I'm not gonna talk about those ending cutscenes though, but one of them, no. Oh goodness, oh, it's about to get interesting. It's about to get interesting. But yeah, so that's basically gonna do it in terms of all the pop culture news and technically the end of my Marvel news like that though. So anyway, we'll go ahead and switch over to the next major topic, that being what's in the gaming news. All right, so starting off, we had some news on a previously announced game that we knew that was all coming right off the heels of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. That game was absolutely phenomenal. It felt like I was back in the arcade days, being able to go through and play that with my friends and stuff. Up to 6 players max, all online and stuff. It felt great. The game was cool and stuff like that. We knew that game was coming. We finally had that in our hands. And not too long, I'd say, after that, it was announced that they got the Cowabunga Collection, which has like all pretty much almost all of the previous past Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. We're talking about ones from the NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, and a lot of other stuff, the arcade versions of certain games and stuff like that, though, all coming in within a big old Cowabunga collection. And I was like, gosh dang, give me the release date on it, though, because after playing Shredder's Revenge, I just want some more turtles, man. I just want some more turtles over here. And they're scratching and itching at it, though. And we finally got the release date for this Cowabunga collection because it is going to be coming out uh not too long from now, actually in the month of August, because it is actually scheduled to release on August the 30th, nearly almost the very last day of August, though. But it is going to be coming out in August. So I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Because yes, there is going to be some online online multiplayer in terms of like some of the like the arcade versions that have, you know, up to 4 players and stuff like that. So I am really looking forward to that. I'm going to be able to play that on my fight stick. So I'm going to be able to get that solid arcade sense. And then like certain other ones, like the NES version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'll just probably play that with my Pro controller or something like that, though, because I will say, with the Pro or with the NES game, I actually have that game on the original Nintendo Entertainment System. I was never able to actually go through and beat that game. But now that we have the Cowabunga Collection coming out, I think it has some like save states, so I think a little bit of rewind and stuff like that, though, some other conveniences and stuff like that. I might finally be able to go through and actually beat that game along with like the arcade version of the first TMNT game, though. So really cool stuff, though. I did see some improvements. Like there used to be screen flickering with some of these games, like original, like that NES one I was just talking about. And that's almost completely out of there. Like they fixed that mess. So I was like, oh, good. They're actually making improvements to some of these games, though. So yes, this is a game I am really, I mean, really looking forward to. And we don't have to wait too much longer, though. So yeah, so that's going to be really nice. Really do kind of want that Cowabunga collection. It is a little high on the dollar amount, though, but the stuff that's up in there, though, oh my goodness, it looks really clean. I will say so myself. That's basically all I have to say on the Cowabunga collection. So we'll go ahead and slide over to the next thing, though, because a little more on the retro side of things, though. The Sega Genesis Mini 2. I might have mentioned this in the last episode or the episode before last, one of those two. But we knew that this console was coming out, or this mini system was coming out to Japan. But now they just confirmed it that yes, it is going to be coming out to the West as well. Though I think it's still an Amazon exclusive in terms of that, though. But we do know it's gonna be over 50 classic games and stuff like that. We know it's coming out having some Genesis games as well as some CD games, though. So honestly, some really cool stuff like that, though, for all y'all Sega diehard fans out there. I don't know, I probably couldn't be one. I do like my Persona and stuff. I like Sonic to an extent, though, to an extent. Don't get that wrong. But you know, outside of that, though, there's just a few Sega titles I kind of like. I didn't really kind of grow up with the Genesis or whatever, though. So it's probably something that I probably wouldn't personally get, though. But it is cool for those retro gaming fans to be able to get that, because I did hear that there are some games on here that especially on the CD side. I think of some. I believe I want to say it's probably some JRPGs or something like that that were actually on the high dollar amount side. And I was like, well, what the actual heck? Because I mean, like, because the fact that they're not the fact that they're putting up in there, though, it is convenient to those that probably wanted to play those games, but they're just so high in dollar in the secondary market or whatever, though. So that is cool for them, though. But I think that's basically all I have to say up on this one, though. Now, with a little bit of unfortunate news, it was confirmed that unfortunately, Square Enix is going to be making some NFTs. Why? Some of y'all might ask, and for what? They got to go to their cash cow. They got to go to Final Fantasy VII. They're making NFTs for Final Fantasy VII. Now, I feel like most companies have kind of backed off on NFTs for the most part, but there are still some out there, though. And I feel like Square Enix has been kind of juggling this thought for the longest time, because I think it is very profitable for the big companies. But when you start to look at the environment, what that could potentially do, and in the future, what could be an all digital future in terms of buying digital content, stuff that's not even tangible, but then you have the rights to it, and you can sell it off or whatever though. I mean, it doesn't really kind of sound good or really kind of bode well for like a multitude of reasons or whatever though. But I did kind of want to let y'all know that in case you want to do a little more digging up on there though. But my goodness, I just don't understand these NFTs. I really don't. Honestly, I really don't. But I ain't gonna dwell on the negative too much though. So we're gonna go ahead and bounce it over to some little more brighter side of the things though, because it is confirmed that PlayStation Stars is a new program that PlayStation created to basically act like as a reward system. It's kind of weird, despite how many things PlayStation has done in comparison to like Nintendo or whatever though. Like Nintendo has a reward system through like the gold coins and platinum coins. Like they've been had that since like the Wii days. But now it seems like Sony is finally starting to actually do that themselves though. And you can basically use some of these points or whatever you want to basically call it or whatever though. Um you can basically use it to be able to purchase, DLC or something like that, potential new games, or it might be like partially. It might act very akin to like the gold coins that like Nintendo gives you. Like if you buy a full $60 game on the digital eShop, it usually gives you about 300 gold coins, which is equivalent to like $3 worth or whatever though. However, if you were to buy that game physically or whatever though, it will give you like what's the equivalent to like 60, I think 60 cents, equivalent to 60 cents. So you get more bang buying more stuff digital, and that's where they kind of want you to move towards anyway though. But yeah, so you can get points via that. You can get points via platinum games the quickest within your time zone. That way, you're competing with everybody with a fair shot or whatever. I guess it must exclude people that get like review codes or reviewers or stuff like that, because otherwise, like, those are the people that will actually get the leg up on everybody. So that might have to exclude them though. But yeah, it is a nice program, provide more options and stuff. And just kind of, I mean, there's even points that you can get just by like logging in and playing your PlayStation games, I believe on the monthly or whatever though. So they're just trying to kind of keep you more in the ecosystem and reward you for staying in there, playing games, all that stuff, buying all that kind of stuff though. But yeah, so that's pretty much it in terms of all the stuff I had to probably say on PlayStation Stars though. But let me know if you're actually really looking forward to PlayStation Stars, and because I know some people out there, some diehard fans, like they really like to get themselves some platinum trophies. Me personally, I mean, I really couldn't care about platinum trophies, at least not that much to an extent though. But I mean, it is kind of, I mean, I guess it is what it is though, to those people that kind of like that for the sake of accomplishing stuff and whatnot though. But yeah, that's basically gonna do it for that though. So we'll go ahead. That's pretty much it in terms of all the basic gaming news and stuff that's kind of associated with PlayStation though. And the rest of the news I have for tonight is gonna be strictly focused around Nintendo. Now, I do have some quick Nintendo news to kind of go through, stuff that's not super long and detailed to talk about just on their own. But whenever I add up and go through all of the different stuff, I mean, it is quite a bit. I will say so myself, though. So the first thing I wanted to let y'all know is that Nintendo Switch Sports have received an update in turn, and a lot of people were thinking, would it be an update on, the golf or whatever? Because we do know that that was coming in the fall. We're still in the summer, kiddos. So no, we're no, it wasn't that. But they did added the functionality of the leg strap that you were able to use in like shootout. Now you're able to do that in like the four-player version of soccer and whatnot, though, as well. So you can use on four as well as one in soccer matches, and you get some new volleyball moves and a little bit, oh goodness, and a little bit more stuff though. So that's what basically that update was for. But it wasn't the only Switch game update that we got, because we also got a new update for Mario Strikers. Mario Strikers. I never felt so mixed on the game before. No, no, don't get me wrong. And I remember, I think it was like one of the, it might have been two podcast episodes ago, or it might have been one. No, I think it might have been two, where I kind of gave out like my short mini review on the game though. The core game itself is fun, but you don't have a lot of modes or whatever. You didn't have like a lot of variety, a lot of extra characters or whatever though. So the game kind of gets a little stale, but I would say it got more stale because you can't do true 4v4 online matches with everybody being on a separate Nintendo Switch system. That's the part that got me because sometimes you get like you be playing by yourself and you be playing against three real life players. The other night ago, I think when they dropped this new update, I actually beat a team that had three live players. I felt like I was king of the world or whatever, though. So that was like a personal highlight from myself, though. But outside of that, you get some people knowing what they're doing. It kind of the game kind of seems a little bit unfair. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it or whatever, though. But in this new update, they did announce two new characters. One being Shy Guy, and yes, for all y'all fans, y'all weirdo fans at that, yes, Daisy's in the game as well, though. So yes, Daisy, Shy Guy, they both got added. You had a whole list of new gear that went up in there that you can actually purchase as well. And they added a whole new stadium, that being one thing around the desert or whatever. Kind of fits the Shy Guy character, though. So yeah, so honestly, some pretty cool stuff, whatever, though. It is the first update and it's not necessarily the last one because they did say in like a tweet right below it that there are there are two more rounds of updates that are going to happen before the end of 2022. So we can look at more additional characters, gears, and stadium. And if it's just going to be the same thing, I'm like, cool. You're adding a little bit more content up in there though. But I will say, please, please put an update in there for the basic, or not really like basic, but just for being able to allow four different users on four different switches, same style like Splatoon 2 and what's about to be Splatoon 3, where you can get four different switches, get those four people on the same team, and do the vice versa on the opposite team. That's all I'm really asking about. If they give me that update, then I'll probably be more actively probably trying to play Strikers. I just play it like every now and then when the mood just strikes me or whatever though. I'm fairly good at the game or whatever though, but it's just those certain matches, it's just like what the heck. And sometimes like when you're dealing with those AI opponents, whether they're opponents or most likely when they're your allies or whatever, though. Like half the time they just kind of stand right in front of somebody and then get like, quick, stop them. But by the time you can actually switch to them because you know they ain't gonna stop a hyper strike or whatever, though. Or like get in the way to try to block the ball or something. Even you have to take a body shot or whatever, though. Just do anything to keep that ball away from Boomer and whatnot, though. And it's just half the time you can't even get to do the stuff that you want to do. I mean, golly, though. But anyway, though, so yeah, that was the quick updates on that. And one last quick update that I had was over. There was another update for the 3DS and Wii U's eShop closures as well, because now we have confirmed dates of when all that stuff is supposed to be shutting down. Because as of August the 29th, so not too long from now, almost the last day of August, but not quite. It will no longer be possible to add funds to your account. So the only way how you can basically add funds to your account to be able to still purchase Wii U and 3DS games, you have to link your Switch and your Wii U slash 3DS's wallets all together. That's what I currently have. So that way you can technically add eShop card codes to your Switch wallet, and then that gets shared over there. That'll be the only other way how you can add funds to it beyond that. And then March the 27th, purchases will no longer be available. So technically, it'll be March 26th as the last day you can actually buy something out of the Wii U or 3DS eShops. And then after that, you can still download games and stuff like that. You know, re-download ones. You can still play online, but you just won't be able to purchase anything new. And then reminder to the Pokemon fans out there, Pokemon Bank will be officially free after that point as well, though. So yeah, so honestly, some sad stuff, but just another little update on that. So for those that might not have a Switch or something like that, then August 29th for the most part might be like the last good, or before then, August 29th will technically be like the last good day that you might be able to add funds to your wallet and make all those purchases on there. If you happen to be a Switch user, make sure you link those wallets up so that way you can still kind of keep getting stuff up until the very last second, though. But that's it in terms of all of the quick news right there. So we'll go ahead and jump over to the next major topic. That being that Nintendo actually acquired Dynamo Pictures. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, well, what is Dynamo Pictures, though? Because it's a little different. Like in terms of all these other acquisitions that we've seen Sony over here been getting, as well as like Microsoft been busy with like the Bethesda thing, as well as the shoot, I'm trying to think of the name of the other one, the Blizzard Activision Blizzard and all of that stuff. Nintendo is gonna Nintendo, and they actually bought like an animation studio or whatever though, because with this studio, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be basically for like visual content. And they actually renamed Dynamo Pictures, and they actually renamed it to Nintendo Nintendo Pictures Incorporated, something on the lines of that though. It's basically kind of putting their branding on top of it though. So yeah, so honestly, it is kind of cool. I feel like they're gonna probably use this either to help make certain cutscenes, or it could be used to make certain trailers or whatever, just to make their games look a little, make them look a little better, or for the sake of advertising and stuff like that. I mean, keep in mind we are having like a new Mario movie coming out here fairly soon or whatever though. Who knows? They could technically use this studio or whatever to kind of help make other visual content as well though. So I mean, you just never know with this one though. But it is a kind of a very interesting acquisition and stuff like that though. And I know they worked on some previous stuff as well, and I'm trying to remember if I can actually pull this up. No, I can't remember. But I know they worked on other games before in the past. I think some of them being I want to say some of them were actually like some Sony games or whatever though. But yeah, so they had some pretty good experience with working with some working with different stuff though. So honestly, some good stuff here. I'm kind of curious to see exactly how they're going to be able to kind of put this into their pipeline and see what kind of results or content we kind of get from them though. But that's basically it in terms of that though. Now, I did want to mention this. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, baby. We're not that far away. We're literally one, two, Wednesday, we're literally 5 days away from this game releasing. Probably shorter, or it could be out now, depending on when you listen to this podcast episode, though. But oh shoot. The lead up to it, if you've been like a diehard Xenoblade fan, or shoot, I guess technically if you're a scalper as well or whatever though, but it's been really hard to get your hands on the Xenoblade 3 on the Xenoblade 3 special edition thing. And I kind of feel kind of bad because also not to mention that technically we're not even getting everything on day one. But it's all due to the fact that Xenoblade 3 was originally scheduled for September. It got moved up to the end of July, basically taking the spot of Splatoon 3, and Splatoon 3 basically falling back into what was probably it was probably going to be a July release similar to Splatoon 2, but now it's releasing early September now though. But these Xenoblade fans in Europe got chipped. I mean, they got messed up because unlike us here in the US, where shoot, when it first dropped that wave of special editions, the whole website crashed. You couldn't buy anything off of the Nintendo store, not just for the special edition, just anything off of the thing. Like it crashed the whole thing down. Luckily, somehow I managed to get it in the wave one. Most of my friends didn't. They got it within the wave two that dropped out. But European fans been waiting so long to get the announcement of when they're gonna drop their pre-orders, and they basically said, you know what? Forget the pre-orders. All y'all go out and buy the game, and we'll open pre-orders for just what will be the art book and the steel book at a later date, closer in the fall. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, in some ways, it's kind of good because that way you know that with shipping and whatnot, though, you're still going to get the game on day one or whenever you want to get the game with little to no delay. But the fact that you're still going to have to wait to know if you're going to be able to secure your copy of what would be the special edition, you basically have to put all the stuff together or whatever, though, because I mean, you're not going to have the game up in there. You're just going to have like the art book and the steel book or whatever, though. And I still kind of ponder why in the world is that being the case because the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 special edition was like a whole lot better. You had that. I mean, you had that. You had some music up. You had the art book. You had a little bit of music up in there. You had the steel case and a couple other things up in there as well. It's like you almost had like 5 different things going up in there, but now we just got a mere 3 things. So I don't understand that though. But yeah, if you're over there in Europe or maybe some other countries as well, though, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. I guess that's just the result of Xenoblade being moved up. I mean, everybody just kind of got gypped though. Unfortunately, though, hopefully they can work out the logistics. Everybody that wants one is still able to get one. Hopefully, or whatever though. But yeah, here's hoping for all y'all fans out there though. But that's basically all I want to report on that. Now the next thing is we did manage to figure out what is going to be our next N64 game for the month, and we knew that technically Pokemon Stadium 2, or not, oh, why did I say Pokemon Stadium 2? Pokemon Snap was the very last thing that we knew that was going to be scheduled, because when they first revealed the Switch expansion pack, they basically kind of showed like a running slide of all the future games that were going to be added. That was the very last one. We didn't know anything else that was going to come after this. And then just some random day, they said, hey, Pokemon Puzzle League is coming out to expansion pack users. I was like, what the heck? It kind of caught me off guard. I was kind of laughing a little bit because I wasn't expecting to have a game with Ash Ketchum up in there and, you know, the original voice actors and all of that stuff up in there, though. But that in itself was actually kind of pretty cool, though. But the big question was, well, shoot, are we going to be kind of like with the NES and SNES um, titles in terms of is this going to be random drops? We don't know exactly what we're going to actually get, though. But right below that tweet, they did mention to say, I'm trying to pull it up here real quick. They did mention to say that, oh, where is that mess at? Shoot, I just had it. What the heck? But basically, I can basically summarize it though. But basically, they said, hey, there is going to be more N64 games coming out in the foreseeable future. So just hang tight. Essentially, is what they kind of said. And it kind of made people go like, well, what the heck? Dog, man, I hate it. I hate it when you're about to sneeze and then you pause for a moment and then the sneeze doesn't come out and it just makes you feel a little weird. I mean, that's just basically what happened though. I was like, man, what the heck? But anyway, though, oh, finally, during all of that, I think I almost managed to find the tweet though. But yeah, it basically said that essentially though. And you know, that's all we know that's basically happened with the N64 stuff. So there's no roadmap for this anymore. Well, it's basically gonna be like a la carte. You don't know what you're gonna kind of get or whatever though. So I mean, in some ways it is surprising, but at the same point, I kind of wish we knew a roadmap of what we're kind of get. I don't know. Maybe after September Nintendo Direct, if they do like the general one, because we did get a partner showcase, so we didn't really get like a true what would be a regular Direct for what normally will happen during the E3 season. If we do get one in September, maybe they'll kind of outline all of that stuff because you know that's when they're going to renew their. Most people will have to renew their subscriptions or decide no, I'm not going to do it, or they might downgrade from the expansion pack, just get the basic tier, go back to the NES and SNES games, and just simple online or whatever. They'll not care too much about the 64 and the Sega Genesis and all that kind of stuff though. So honestly, some kind of good stuff, but some stuff I'm just like, well, shoot, I just hope they can kind of execute it because they have enough games out. I'm just surprised we don't have Wave Race on the N64 just yet. I'm like, what the heck? And then we always knew that there's been that GoldenEye 007 thing that's been floating around. Maybe it's been pushed back, kind of like Advance Wars due to the war over there in Ukraine and whatnot. Though maybe that's what's kind of been pushing that back. But hopefully we'll hear something about that. Maybe by the end of the year, who knows? But here's hoping though. But yeah, so that's basically all I had to say on the expansion pack and the N64 game front though. So we'll go ahead and switch over to the next topic because now we're finally getting into some new stuff because Kirby. Kirby. We know it's Kirby's anniversary year this year, though, and they've been doing a lot of stuff in terms of merchandising. Well, I mean, we had Kirby and the Forgotten Land and stuff like that, though. Quite a bit of good stuff from Kirby, though. And they did come out and announce that yeah, there is going to be another digital title, kind of similar to Kirby Fighters 2, that's going to be releasing here fairly soon. They did say during the month of summer, and they didn't actually give out like a concrete release date. But if you look at it, July has Xenoblade Chronicles 3, September has Splatoon 3. There's nothing really scheduled for August. So my gut's basically saying it's going to be for August though. But it's called Kirby's Dream Buffet, and it should be exclusive to the eShop. Now I'm thinking it's a four player game or whatever though. It kind of does remind me of Fall Guys a little bit. I will say so myself, but it's kind of like a racing game ish kind of thing. It's like almost like a fusion of those two aspects or whatever though. So I mean, it looks really charming and stuff. The food in it kind of looks kind of good. I ain't gonna lie or whatever though. But yeah, it makes me think. I'm like, well, this probably in terms of like a cost for it. I have a feeling it's probably either gonna be like $20, kind of similar to Kirby Fighters 2, or I wouldn't put it past them. They could be treated like a Switch expansion pack exclusive title or something like that. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, or Switch Online in general. Either one of the two, maybe expansion just so they can kind of make their money's worth back up on it though. But I have a feeling it could very well be tied to Switch Online as well though. And if it is, that's gonna be pretty cool. It actually allow me to try it. If not, then I might not buy it myself though. Shoot, I ain't even got Kirby and the Forgotten Land yet. I mean, eventually maybe I'll get that game if it goes on sale though. But yeah, so some really cool, nice little stuff that Kirby's getting for its anniversary year. And you know, they pop these Kirby games out like a fish giving birth. Like you're always gonna get something every single year. So I mean, it is nice for all those Kirby fans out there though. But I think that's pretty much it. That all I have to say on that though. So we'll go ahead and switch over to the next topic. Getting very close to the very end though. But this next bit of news, oh my goodness. Man, this really caught me by surprise though. Because honestly, in the lead up to it, we saw how there was like a Switch OLED video on Nintendo's YouTube channel, and it got taken down. People were thinking, "Oh shoot, the Switch Pro is going to be announced. The Switch Pro is going to be a thing. Oh shoot, get ready, boys!" And literally the very next day, it wasn't no Switch Pro. It was the Splatoon 3 OLED edition model or whatever you want to call it, though. And I gotta say, I was like, man, I'm kind of glad it wasn't a Switch Pro because at this point in the game, it is so late. I would just rather have them go straight into what would be like a Super Switch, basically the next successor after the Switch. It's already we're already so late into the Switch's life anyway. The Switch Pro would be nice, but I mean, when you're so close to almost being to another successor, and we're still during the chip shortage and all this stuff due to the pandemic. So I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I'm just content with what we have right now. Let's keep making quality games and whatnot, though. And we'll stick with our OLED, our standard base, and our Switch Lite that we have at the moment, though. But looking at the Switch Splatoon 3 Switch OLED, this thing looks like straight fire. I love how those Joy Cons are like. I think people have been saying gradient, like you know how like it starts off with like yellow to green on one Joy Con, and then it's like a dark blue to like kind of violetly purple to the other side. Though those Joy Cons look really fresh and stuff like that. You got like the white back on the Joy Cons, and then just that dark design and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I might possibly get this. I was like, I'm that much of a diehard Splatoon fan. Like literally, I put like, gosh, since the game came out in 2017, I think I'm a little over a thousand hours up into it. I know my good friend Bronto, he plays almost just as much as Splatoon 2 as me, and he's at like 800 something hours or something like that, though. I mean, shoot, when this game comes out, we might be playing Splatoon 3. It might be like a ritual thing, playing it like on Wednesday nights or something like that. Me just streaming that mess on Twitch or something like that, though. But yeah, but I will say this for those that are interested in getting it, there's placeholders that are up on Best Buy right now, but I'm thinking it's going to be just like how all the other Switch editions, like how they did with the Monster Hunter. I think the Monster Hunter Rise one was similar. Definitely the Mario edition. I think the Animal Crossing was almost the same though too, where they don't release pre-orders for these things. It just goes up live on the day of release. That's what I'm thinking is going to be. So if you're thinking you're going to get it at Best Buy, it's either going to be like between midnight and 2 o'clock Central Standard Time when you can actually, you know, purchase and put your reservations up on them, or it'd be sometime kind of early in the morning, like post 8 o'clock Central Standard Time or something like that, though. I'm going to try to see if I can get my hands on one of them and figure out what I'm going to do with one of my other switches or something like that, though. But yeah, so honestly, really sick, though, because I don't have an OLED model. And from everything I heard with that bigger screen, and having the OLED up in there, and then you got the improvement on the kickstand and stuff like that. It could be worth the upgrade or whatever, though. So yeah, so definitely for those that might have the first edition of the Switch that doesn't even have the better battery life up in there, I mean that could be like quite a bit of a drastic jump going from that to this OLED model though. So yeah, so I am really looking forward to this. It does release at 360, a price of 360. Normally OLED's 350, but for the paint job, you get it's an extra $10 or whatever though. And this is actually going to release a couple weeks before Splatoon 3 actually launches in September. So, and just a reminder, there's the game's not actually attached to there, so that way, that's kind of good in some regards. So that way, I mean, when you look at like the PlayStation special edition or whatever though, like they're throwing like a digital code up in there for the new God of War game or whatever though. At least them not putting it up in here, a copy of the game up in there, which normally would have been digital, like the Monster Hunter Rise special edition Switch. That came with a digital code. At least this one it doesn't, so that way I can still pick up the game physically because that's what I want to do with games that I really do enjoy a lot. I like getting them physical. Games I'm feeling kind of iffy on, I don't really care about too much. Those are the ones I usually get digital or whatever though. So honestly, this game or this system is looking extremely, I mean extremely fresh, and I'm really liking and digging this design though. But yeah, so that's basically all I had to say on that Splatoon 3 OLED Switch, though. Now, moving over to the very last topic that I have up for the podcast for tonight, we did get the release date for Bayonetta 3. Finally, after five, and I do, was it five? Like what? This game was announced in 2017. Yeah, after 5 whole years of waiting, we finally get the release date for Bayonetta 3. And we don't have to wait too much longer, though, either, because it is coming out on October the 28th, a few days actually before Halloween. So I think the movie is just right around that. So kind of like how Luigi's Mansion 3 released like on Halloween. I think it's releasing in an appropriate month, just right before the holiday season and stuff like that. Though the game looks phenomenal. Don't get me wrong on that. Like everything looks cool, everything looks fresh and stuff like that. I mean, and there is a special edition out for this game as well. So people, fans of the series or whatever, though, they can get their hands up on that. I think that retails at like $90 or so. So yeah, so some really good stuff from Bayonetta. Not only did we get the release date and as well as like a cool, snappy looking trailer and whatnot for it, though, they did confirm for fans that yes, they're actually going to release a physical copy of Bayonetta 1. Originally, Bayonetta 1 for the Switch was like digital only. Like you bought Bayonetta 2 and had a download code for Bayonetta 1 that you're able to put on your Switch. But now, pre-orders are going up for Bayonetta 1 physical, all on that cartridge, and they're only making a limited amount. So you are able to pre-order them right now. So if you want to get that physically, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, yeah, you might miss out on it or whatever. Though I don't know if it's gonna be like Mario 3D All Stars where they said they make a limited amount and you could have still find those like way after when they were gonna stop it on that March 31st date or whatever though. So hopefully it's gonna be like that. So at least all the people that really want to get it, they can get their hands up on it though. But yeah, so a lot of good stuff happening for Bayonetta 3 and just Bayonetta as a whole or whatever though. So honestly, some really cool stuff. It did seem like from the trailers that they kind of showcase off, people were sort of kind of worried about the game's presentation and whatnot though, but I did feel like they put quite a bit of polish since the last time we got a little bit of footage or whatever though. So yeah, so this game looks snazzy, all that stuff. There is a mode up on there. Maybe I should mention this too. There is a mode up on there though that's like a sensor mode because you do know like with Bayonetta and stuff, since this game is rated mature or whatever though, like there's some movements with her where it's like when she does like a punch, it forms with her hair or whatever though, but it basically leaves her almost partially naked or whatever though. And there is like a sensor mode where if you can turn that on, then you don't have to worry about if you got like other people in the room, family, younger kids, whatever though, or basically anybody that's like lower than that 17 age or whatever though. You can flip that mode on so that way you don't have to be disturbed or they have to be disturbed or seeing something that they probably shouldn't see or whatever though. So yeah, so it allows accessibility to be a little bit higher or slash those that kind of don't want to see all the extra stuff or whatever though. But yeah, so really cool stuff added up into the series though, and I know a lot of people are gonna be looking forward to this though. Me personally, I played Bayonetta 1. It was okay. It wasn't kind of like my cup of tea or whatever though, but I can understand why people sort of like it though, because Platinum Platinum can make some really good games. I ain't gonna lie on that. I'm just kind of sitting over here waiting for my Astral Chain 2 to drop out though, because I mean, like, shoot, I really love Astral Chain 1 though. But y'all gotta let me know, whether it be in the comments or just on Twitter or whatever though, if you're really hyped for this game finally releasing in the month of October, then let me know. Because now it seems like Nintendo they got a fairly good stack second half of the year now. We know we got Xenoblade 3 in July. I'm pretty sure we might get the Kirby game in August. September has Splatoon 3. October has two games, not necessarily Nintendo, but the Nintendo exclusive. That being the Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope thing coming out like mid October, and then late October we got Bayonetta 3, and then you roll over into November and you have Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. So yeah, so now we went to not really knowing exactly what we might have for the second half of the year to almost having something that could potentially drop out every single month leading up to basically all the way to the holiday season. Not sure if anything's going to fall into the December slot. Maybe if we get lucky and they actually say, hey, we're going to greenlit Advance Wars and they're just going to drop it out on December or something like that, then maybe. But I mean, yeah, so basically we got something every single month though. So I don't want to hear anybody else complaining about, oh man, there ain't really nothing else for the second half of the year. No, we got something almost every single month now. So yeah, yeah, Nintendo got that all lined out. Maybe that's the reason why they didn't really need to do like a general direct because they basically got everything else planned out for the second half of the year. Also, we have like Mario Kart DLC stuff um that they hadn't even announced yet. That's like the last thing that outside of like the Mario Strikers and the Switch Sports updates. That's like the last update thing I think we're kind of waiting on right now at this moment though. So yeah, so honestly, everything is planned out. Everything should be going, according to schedule and whatnot, though. So, yeah, so that's basically it in terms of all the gaming news that I had to basically talk about and discuss, though. So, yeah, so we'll go ahead and move over to the very next topic. That being so about that show. All right, so lately I've been watching some things like some animes and stuff like. Golly, me delaying this podcast about a week kind of actually like put me off a little bit. So I felt like I watched a movie lately, and I'm trying to think of what was its name. I mean, besides I was about to say Thor Ragnarok. Besides Thor: Love and Thunder, I thought there was a movie I watched before that, but now I'm just not think. Oh, I did. Wait, I did, but I can't remember if I said it in the last episode. I don't think I don't think I did. I don't think I did. I did watch Morbius like a couple of weeks ago, and I know a lot of people were making fun out of that movie because it kind of basically flopped in theaters. Though it was an okay movie. I kind of liked it. I mean, it wasn't like crazy good or anything like that though. I thought it was just a nice little fun watch or whatever though, because you do have to keep in mind that at least with in the Marvel universe, there are vampires, there's also vampire hunters and stuff like that though. So yeah, so it was a fun watch. It was a fun watch. I mean, would I recommend it? I mean, watching the DVDs. I mean, if you watch it in theaters, I'm sorry. But just watching it just, on DVD or maybe if it comes out to a streaming service or something like that, I think it's just a fine watch like that though. So nothing else too crazy on it. I don't think I really have too much more to say on it though. 'Cause I mean it was just more like watch it, just enjoy it. Kind of like a Fast and Furious movie. Like you're not really watching it so much for the plot super much or for a whole bunch. It's just there. It's just kind of there. Or whatever though. The cutscene at the very end of it makes me think, well, shoot, Sony's definitely taking advantage of the whole multiverse thing and trying to take advantage of that with Spider-Man still being associated with like within the MCU and whatnot though. But I think that's basically all I have to say on that. Now, in terms of anime stuff, I've been watching a few new shows. However, I don't think I want to talk about it, at least not in this one episode. Maybe I'll save it for episode 38 because there's still some more there's still some more animes that I'm going through and adding to my list, whether it be dub or whether it be sub or something like that, though. So hopefully by episode 38, I can just kind of dedicate this whole spot right here just to anime shows that I've been going through and watching and stuff like that. I can just kind of go through there and just kind of cherry pick and go through all of that stuff, though. But I mean, outside of that, and I mentioned Thor: Love and Thunder. I mentioned and talked about earlier in the Marvel segment about Miss Marvel and stuff like that. So that's most of the stuff I've been kind of keeping up with here lately, though. So kind of a lighter so about that show, but as long as I remember and as long as I've been watching some more shows, get ready for that big anime segment that might be up in here next week though. So that's it about the show segment though. So we'll go ahead and switch over to our very last segment, that being what you've been playing. All right, so here lately, there's been couple, I think a couple of games that I've been going through and playing. One of them being I'll talk about this one first. One of them being Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. I finally managed to finally finish that game. I think I've been working on that game for about the past not two, I think past 3 or 4 months. I want to say probably 3 months. I think four might have been too long. I think for the past 2 or 3 months, I've been working on that game. I finally managed to sit down and actually beat that game. So now that I'm done with Dream Drop Distance, I'm very close to Kingdom Hearts 3 now because there's not too much that's in my way now. I just have to watch that Union Cross movie, and then I have to sit down and play Birth by Sleep 0.2, which from what I heard is about like a 3 hour experience. It's not really like a full blown game to like the degree of like what we know with most Kingdom Hearts games. And then I'm straight on into Kingdom Hearts 3. So I'm in the final stretch of getting down to this thing though. So really looking forward to that. I thought Dream Drop Distance was a fairly good game. I really like the combat and stuff in terms of like that flow motion stuff. It kind of made the game a little more fluid and stuff like that. I really did like it. I really did like it. It was very unique in that regard. I feel like they always kept like layering and adding more stuff with the Kingdom Hearts games as time progressed. So I'm very curious now to see exactly how Kingdom Hearts 3 kind of plays out. And honestly, with Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm really looking forward to that Pirates of the Caribbean world because I heard from people like some people said that that's almost a game in itself or whatever though. If you just put the time up in it though, so I'm just really looking forward to that one in Kingdom Hearts 3 as well as the whole overarching story and stuff like that. Because stuff got crazy at the very tail end of the Dream Drop Distance when they started mentioning like time travel and all of this stuff like that. I was still trying to scratching my head over here and trying to get my head wrapped around it though. But yeah, that's what I've been doing on the PlayStation front. Not too much more beyond that though, because I think the other PlayStation games I'm looking forward to after I'm done with those last few Kingdom Hearts games leading up to Kingdom Hearts 3, I still have Ghost of Tsushima over there in my corner. That'll be probably the next game I work on. And then I think that's it. Between the Kingdom Hearts games and Ghost of Tsushima, those are the only games I actually own at this point. And then I know in terms of new releases, I wanna get what you call it, Soul Hackers 2 on the PS5 that comes out in August, but I probably won't pick it up on day one. Maybe if the game goes on sale by Black Friday, I'll pick it up then. I do know I also want to get Hogwarts Legacy. I actually already had that one pre-ordered. So I know I'm getting that in November. And then I also know Final Fantasy 7, Crisis Core. That's supposed to be coming out sometime this winter. It'll either be like maybe November, December, but I'm thinking most likely it's probably be January or February. That's the third game I know I'm probably gonna get on PlayStation. So yeah, so trying to get the last of these games I actually own caught up, and I actually be doing fairly good on my backlog on the PlayStation side of things. So at least that system's being is staying almost pretty much up to date. Meanwhile, on the Switch, golly, the backlog is kind of real though, because on the Switch here lately, it's been all about Live Alive, Live Alive, Live Alive. Man, that game right there. Oh my goodness. Oh shoot. That game right there. It's phenomenal. I really do love what Square Enix has been doing with the HD 2D series and whatnot, though. We all started off with, Octopath Traveler. That looked really cool back then, though. But in comparison, when Triangle Strategy came out, I was like, man, they did some better stuff with the colors and lighting and stuff on this game. And then now with this one, there's just some moments where I was playing through. I started off with the Imperial China story first, because I think that's the first one I actually did within the demo segment. Because when you played the demo, they gave you Imperial China, Edo Japan, and Distant Future. They give you all three of those. And you play like almost like the first hour of each one of those. Or it might not be like full hour, it might be like 30, 40 minutes or something like that, though. But yeah, they let you dive into those three routes at first. But there was one moment during that China one, I just kind of let it sit in the background for like a minute or two or something like that. Because I mean, it's just kind of breathtaking how much time they put up in it. And from what I heard, it actually took them like 3 years to actually make this remake. Because remind y'all, this was a game that actually came out on the Super Famicom, and it never came to the West due to the poor sales that happened over there in Japan, because they did have plans to bring the original versions over here, but due to the fact they're not selling well in Japan, they just axed the project for it to come out to the West or whatever though. So yeah, so honestly, I'm just really glad that this game turned out to be such a good success. I finished those 3 routes. Literally as soon as this podcast is done, I'm probably gonna boot up and play the my next story. Probably gonna be the prehistoric one. I think that's gonna be the fourth one I'm gonna try to attempt or whatever though. But yeah, I'm really loving every single aspect of it. The writing, the voice acting is great and stuff, the storytelling, and I really do like how it's like these nice bite-sized experiences where normally if you're playing a big old JRPG, your most fun moments might be the start and what might be the end and some stuff in the middle or whatever though, but then some of those other parts that kind of exist in between all of that, it can kind of drag down. And it's like, all right, I kind of want to do something fresh, something new, or whatever though. But at least with this game, since they're all each of the stories are about no more at tops like 3 hours long, you can kind of flow from one story to the next and the next, and not really feel like any true burnout because all games kind of play differently. I mean, the battle system and stuff like that at its core is the same, but the way how you might approach everything is a little bit different. Different because like even in the distant future route, literally you don't do any fighting in that game except for like one thing kind of close to the beginning of the story and at the very tail end when you have to fight the final boss. That was it. You didn't do any other combat in between. And from what I've been hearing about people saying about the western story, I think there's not a lot of combat up in that one either. I think I heard someone say they got through that like an hour and 15 minutes. I was like, what the heck? But yeah, so maybe those couple of stories have like the less amount of fighting up in there though. But then I heard like prehistoric has like quite a bit of fighting up in there, and I know Imperial China had quite a bit of fighting up in there, as well as Edo Japan if you choose so. Because I mean, in that one you could either choose to kill and or slash kind of act like a shadowy ninja, not be seen and try to avoid killing people. But there are some that you're gonna have to fight or whatever though. But yeah, so that's basically all I've been playing really in terms of like Switch as well as some PS5 games I've been going through and playing on. I kind of forget that I technically have Game Pass Ultimate on my PC, and I hadn't really dived into like a lot of stuff outside of Sea of Thieves. I've been playing a little bit of that when I first got Game Pass, and I hadn't messed with it too much. But I don't know. Maybe I'll boot it up and try to look at see what else is up on that system now. But I think that's pretty much gonna do it in terms of the what I've been playing segment, and that's gonna about do it in terms of the whole podcast as a whole. Yeah, so sorry, no Sonic U tonight. I know he was tied up doing some a few other things that he wanted to do and take care of and whatnot though. Because normally he would have been here right next to me, kind of going through and giving his thoughts on all the topics we have through tonight though. But yeah, so honestly, some really good stuff that happened within the past few weeks though. And yeah, really exciting stuff. If you hadn't gotten Live Alive, I definitely highly recommend it though, because especially once that game goes out of print and they're not gonna make anymore or whatever those the physical copies, like any of the HD 2D series ones, I feel like the price on that is gonna go up in value as we go along in the future though. So I just made the commitment and say, hey, I started off with Triangle Strategy, moved on to this, and I know I'm going to get it with the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, getting all those physical because I know there's going to be like quite a bit of value to it. The only one I kind of messed up on was like Octopath Traveler. I got that one digitally because I didn't know exactly what I was going to be getting myself up into or whatever. Or maybe I have like giveaway funds or something like that. I had some funds on the eShop or something like that though. But yeah, so let me know down in the comment section down below. What all did you think about the topics and stuff like that? Were you excited for all the news that was planned or that was revealed when in San Diego Comic Con and all that stuff with all the Marvel stuff? Like I'm still recovering from last night and all that stuff. You want to hear more thoughts on that? Obviously, you can go check my channel out. There's a whole video dedicated towards all of those news announcements, reveals, trailer reactions, all that kind of good stuff though. And then in terms of all the gaming news and stuff like that, are you excited about Bayonetta 3 finally getting that release day, whatever though? The Kirby game kind of catch you by surprise and whatnot though? Are you going through and playing through Live Alive currently at the moment though? Or are you really anticipating Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that's going to be coming up this Friday? Thankfully, the podcast got offset to such a degree that now I don't have to worry about doing the podcast on the weekend that it releases. So it'll be the weekend after that. So we can technically get pretty far in the game and have a little better impressions on what we thought about the game. Hopefully, with me and hopefully Sonic U whenever he makes it back. And then there'll probably be at some point when we probably all finish the game, like how I do with most Xenoblade things. Like I always tend to have like those really long discussions with like me, Mario, Sonic Q, sometimes Steven though. But yeah, so maybe we'll do one of those once we go through and finally go through and beat the game and whatnot though, because I know there's gonna be a lot to discuss about that game whenever that game comes out though. So yeah, so we're in some really good times in terms of all the potential content that's been announced for news, releases, games, and all of this kind of other stuff within the media, pop culture stuff in general though. But that's basically going to do it in terms of the ZardCast episode 37, though. So yeah, so you really like this episode, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related that I feel like talking about and discussing for the foreseeable future. If you happen to be watching this on a podcast server, whether that be Google, Apple, Spotify, or even Amazon Music, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and share this podcast out, give it a quick little review if it allows you to do that, whatever though, and just let us know, and just letting people know, hey, it's just me, sometimes with a few of my other friends, just talking about some gaming stuff and with a chill, laid back, just talking about stuff that we enjoy and whatnot, though. But that's basically going to do it for episode 37, though. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, until the next episode being ZardCast episode 38, I'll see y'all later.